All right, young man, you're live.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. This is the March 2nd Pro Board meeting. I will start off with public comment. Is there any public comment? All right. Not hearing anything. So I'll move on to the approval of minutes.
Maybe first announce who's in attendance.
Oh, okay.
Would be a good meeting discipline.
All right. So in attendance, it looks like we have board member Kyle, Mary, Paul, Jennifer. Did I miss any board members? No.
Jeff?
Well, Jeff's not really a board member, right?
Nope, I'm just here. So
And then I guess you would call, I don't know if we would call them members of the public. Two
Supervisors. You can say supervisors. Right?
Okay. Supervisor Donna and Supervisor Dawn. And it looks like somebody else just joined us. All right. So I'll move on to approval of minutes. I'll make a motion to approve the February meeting minutes. Would anyone like to second that?
Second, Paul.
Seconded by Paul. Any discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, say nay. All right. Minutes are approved.
I just want to say thanks, Kyle, for doing them. She's always appreciate her doing a good job on that.
Absolutely. Not an easy job either.
Not an easy job. Yeah.
All right. So get into the old business. First is just to recap the trash cleanup. It was, I would say, a success. I don't know if we got a final head count, but I guessed it was about 25 people or so. Did we actually get a head count on that sign-in sheet? Does anyone know?
didn't even really think to look, Greg, to be honest.
Who has the sign-in sheet?
Sarah has them now. So maybe I can do a quick count while you guys are talking if I can find them.
And Jeff, we need to file them like some open space pro folder so that, because we wrote it so that it's good for a year. So
Yep.
the members who have signed, we want to keep it on record for a year and not just let it be lost because it was one event.
No, we're going to save them to the network drive under a folder so we can refer back to the place and time and location.
Great.
Yeah, and it'd be good to keep those names, just if we have other volunteer events, just to reach out and see if they're interested.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of people weren't putting contact information. So maybe that's something, an improvement for next time is,
Yeah,
I think
I think people, I probably caused that. We just signed our names because we started it. And I think when we didn't fill our address, people took the lead and didn't put their address. and contact.
Yeah.
But
I agree. So even though we don't need yours, it would set a good example. So
Yeah.
next time, well, I just brought it up because it's a learning, we all learn. So I think the most important might be an email address or.
yeah, maybe even we could have the form changed because I don't know that many people want to give out their street address, but I think more people would be inclined to give out their email addresses.
That's true. I don't know if Mark needs it to document who the person is, but
Yeah.
I don't know. You're the lawyer. What do you?
I mean, honestly, any way to contact somebody, I mean, they'd be,
No, I'm
arguably-
saying from a legal perspective, what if they say, that's not my name, I'm not Joe Smith, that's a different Joe Smith.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
very true. I mean, I think honestly, if you get a phone number and an email, it would probably be sufficient.
Okay.
21 people, 22
Okay.
people signed the sheet. Only one person put their email in
Hmm.
and one for their address. They had space for it.
That was the guy from the FSA. He was toward the end, right?
Mark Mendel.
Yeah, I watched him
Okay.
sign. I handed him the form to sign. I noticed he wrote everything in. So I didn't sign in my kids, and there was a bunch of kids there. So I suspect there was a few more.
Well, let's call it 25.
Yeah, and I
Five.
did have Tessa sign it, but I think in the future, I probably would have had Tessa sign under my name just so that you can match up the kids with the parents.
So I think one improvement might be we should ask, add a column or ask, how did you hear or what group are you with? I think we should give credit. Like if we see a lot of the bike club guys out or the FSA out there, we want to know that, right? We don't know
Right.
where these people are from or how they heard. And so we want to tap into that source.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I talked to some of the people, but you can't talk to everyone and
Right.
get all their information. So yeah.
If you remember, we were standing by the donut truck, and then I walked over to that other group and said, "Are you here for the cleanup?" And they said, "Yes." And they said they're with the bike group. So it was like half the crowd.
Yeah, that was a
That
good sized
day.
group.
Yeah, it's a big group.
Yeah, so thank you everyone who helped out or showed up or did anything. Thank you. We filled a full dumpster. I will make a note that there's one pile left that we saw of the tree tubes that are down there, that we didn't get to, but otherwise we cleared some trash for sure.
I had a question. I'm sorry to interrupt. When we're talking
No,
about the
go
trash,
ahead.
Jeff, is it a problem? We left those tires in that battery. Like, is there a better way in the future to dispose of it? Or I feel like we're burdening you, but I didn't know.
He left it, or you left it in the perfect spot. It's right where I wanted it.
Okay, and how about the battery? Was that okay?
That's fine. You did
Okay,
a great job.
okay. I just wanted to make sure we're not making more work for you, so.
No, that made my life easier. Thank you.
And then, Jeff, how do you dispose of that stuff? Just out of curiosity.
When we get enough tires, Paul, we will take them to Secra landfill when it makes sense. I think they charge us $5 per tire, but everything else is free. We can use our recycling credits.
And that's the only thing I would have said that I would have probably added, Greg, like maybe in the beginning, if you could get up and let everybody know, like, listen, do not put tires in the dumpster. Do not put batteries in the dumpster because we don't want to contaminate the load and then have the roll-off company charging us extra.
Right.
Unfortunately, I think there was enough of us around, but like the battery, somebody was nice enough. They like pulled it to the side and was sitting on the edge of the road when we drove by, but that could have gotten accidentally thrown in the dumpster. And so,
Jeff, are there any other rules we should know about? Like what else can't go in the dumpster?
Well, it can't be anything like with Freon in it. Can't be a refrigerator, can't be a freezer, can't be a dehumidifier.
Okay, good to know.
Those types of things need to be segregated out.
yeah, so maybe we should just have like maybe Greg at the beginning, you could give them your cell phone number and say, when in doubt, like what the person did, they left the battery on the corner of the road with a tire. So when we drove by, we picked it up, but I guess it could have accidentally got put in the dumpster and nobody would have known. And then when they took it to the landfill, we could have gotten, charged for that.
And did anybody pick up the metal that we were told that was left on the edge of the field? It was too heavy to carry.
There was a big, huge piece of metal that was a hitch. I know that the FSA and Eric picked up, but they did put that in the dumpster. I guess they could have recycled it.
Was it down in the field or on the trail?
It was on the outside of the trail.
And
Yeah,
I
I didn't-
picked up a car jack along the side of the road too. Someone put out there that looked like it was 100 years old.
I didn't. I walked back to crossing and didn't see any additional stuff left. So
I think.
This was between the dumpster and the tree tubes. A woman said they left some metal at the edge of the field.
Yeah, I think that's what Eric and the FSA guys got.
Okay, good. Because I didn't want that to be left as a trap for the farmer.
No, I think they probably, like, they pulled part of it out. It was like a lot of pieces of like rusted metal. And then right on the other side of that was a big trailer hitch, a rusted trailer hitch that they pulled out. And then we put in the wheelbarrow and wheeled it over. So I guess what we were talking about, it was like, I guess it could have been recycled, but it was so rusted. I would think it would have been more dangerous for somebody to handle it, to take it to get recycled.
Gotcha.
And then I feel really bad about the glass rig, but I know we talked about it. It just was so filled with dirt that it would have taken more resources to clean the glass than it would have been to recycle it.
Yeah, I thought that too. And a ton of beer cans, but they were smashed with dirt inside of them.
So just so you all know, like you can recycle smashed beer cans. That's fine. And actually in Louisiana, they require you smash them before you turn them in. But
Yeah, but
full
if
of
they're
dirt,
full of dirt, yeah.
full of dirt is no, that's not good. So
Yeah, I
like
don't
when
think we
you're-
picked up anything that wasn't full of dirt. A couple
Right.
plastic water bottles, but they were few and far between. And I know
Well-
they were in the can, but
where we were along the trail is really old debris, right? That's from days gone by. But along Parsons Road would probably, you'll get some fresh beer cans, from
Right.
last weekend and stuff. That would be more likely. Because when I pick up trash with my kids along Creek Road, we recycle everything because it's fresh, Old
Yeah.
Milwaukee, Bush Light, and
Right.
Yingling. Like,
no, these were antique beer cans that,
right.
probably 20 or 30 years old. And then every glass bottle, I was a hoarder. I took some of the milk bottles. I couldn't resist it, but
Nice.
it's still sitting out in my driveway now filled with bleach water. But for the most part, it looked like an old landfill from a farm. I'm not sure what the history is, but
It was
look-
just an abandoned road that people would dump along. It
Yeah.
definitely, that's why we put the gate up, was because all the deer carcasses they were dumping, but there was also trash dumped regularly.
Yeah. Don't talk to me about Tess is still traumatized by the deer carcass.
Oh,
Oh.
right, I forgot about that.
She still keeps telling us that she thinks that Eric and I need to go back and double check. I told you the gentleman said it might be a small child. And then he said, oh no, it's probably a deer, but we couldn't figure out why it was in a bag. But
Just because to transport it to the site, all
Yeah.
the scraps, they pull the meat off, put the scraps in a bag and drive it away.
yeah, it just, when he said a small child, I was like, oh, you just lost my kid for the whole day. But but I thought it was great. I thought they got I was worried that the dumpster at first was going to go to waste, but it was,
It's great, yeah.
Yeah, I think it turned up perfect. We had perfect amount of people and the perfect size dumpster.
Yeah, I think even a few more people would have been good because we were struggling down there with those tubes. I felt like, Greg, you came to help, but before that, it was just me and Jeff and my two kids, and it was a lot of tubes.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
it worked out. I thought people would work their way down to the tubes after they clean the trail, but everyone kind of evaporated. when it
Oh,
came
no.
down.
Well,
I
that's
think
what my
maybe-
goal was to have people do.
I think they didn't understand how far the tubes were. Like maybe they didn't know
Mhm.
where the tree planting was. Like most people hadn't been down there, was my guess.
Yeah, I should have made that more clear. If I don't know, going
coulda
forward,
just-
if we like have people register, we can send out a map to everyone or something along
Right.
those lines.
Yeah,
So
so
how
Paul, I
about-
was one of the people. I did the trail, I did it by the road, and I was, doing fine, and I was looking for you guys, and I kept walking and walking and walking, and I was like, there's nobody here. So I probably had
that's
to
what
still-
I was, Donna, that's what I was afraid of because we worked till like 1:00 and we came up to the parking lot, all cars were gone. We're like, man, we still got a lot of unloading here, but I was afraid people didn't know where we were and they thought we'd left.
Hmm.
Well, we didn't think you had left, but we couldn't find you because I stayed till noon. But I found a Christmas tree with lights.
Did you take it
Wow.
home?
Oh no, it was way too nasty. It's in the trash.
Jeez.
Just kidding.
Well, that's a good find.
yeah. And
What-
I'm sorry, Paul, we didn't stay longer, but Tessa was tired, but we were still jumping off the tires. And then Greg, you got the stuff by your car?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, and there wasn't that much garbage up in the parking lot, but we went along the road and where people had pulled stuff out along the road, that's what we picked up and brought that back to the dumpster. But
No, yeah, and you made it down to the tubes. I appreciate you making it down there. So,
yeah, we should have just
Hey, did-
probably gone down sooner. Like Tess and I should have split off from Eric, but, and then he was worried he was messing up the trail with his truck, but I think he has a light enough truck that, it's not that bad.
hey, did anybody get the vests and gloves and glasses boxes from the tennis courts? Basketball court?
Dawn
Jeff-
got them. Dawn
Dawn got
them.
them? Okay,
Yep.
because you asked me to get them and I went up there and they were gone.
Yeah, they were
Okay.
gone when I went back. Yeah.
Thank you,
Got
Dawn.
'em.
Yeah, thank you, Dawn.
All right, I think we're good. Let's,
Okay. So hopefully we can wait a couple of decades before we have to do that again.
Well, I feel like there's another day is needed just to go back into that one spot where all the glass is. There got to a point where it's just too much glass, but
Yeah. Yeah,
is
I
it
hate to
broken
say it.
glass?
it's what? It was a lot of it was broken glass and then a lot of it was, it looked like it looked like somebody's old land. There was baby dolls and
Yeah, there's like
beer
dump
cans.
sites.
It was like somebody's family dump.
Well, there was a house and barn on that road.
Yeah, so that's what I think it was. Like somebody used it as their personal property landfill.
Right.
But a lot of
Um,
it's buried, and so I almost think we would need shovels to turn over. Or,
I was
Eric
gonna,
said,
I was gonna say the opposite, just cover it with some dirt to make it safe.
yeah, that's what Eric said. He said like all the metal would eventually decompose. It's the glass that.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and as I was packing up, I was noticing some more trash in the woods.
Yeah, somebody could spend hours there in that one spot, but
And
Yeah.
we had a supervisor clean that with the contractor from the developer we bought it from. They spent weeks in there demoing the house, demoing the barn, removing old cars and farm equipment. And that guy, Norm Hughes, was on top of him like a bulldog every day. Hey, you missed one over here in the woods. There's another vehicle over here. And so
Wow.
it was an impressive job. Even though you see a lot left, there was way
Yeah.
more before that.
yeah, and I think just picking at it every couple, once a year maybe.
Yeah. We definitely put a dent in though. All right, well, I'll move on unless anyone has anything else. All right, so next up was the Easter egg hunt at Crossin. So I guess we just had more details that we haven't really ironed out with that. One being the time. I know I was just flipping through my old paperwork and the flyer that we sent out, I guess back in the fall, had 12 to 2 on there.
The one Jeff has on the internet, because that's where I got it from, is 10 o'clock.
Okay.
When he put in the request.
I
The
think
new
we
one-
just, I think we just need to pick a time, but I think the Easter Bunny would probably prefer 10 to 12 if he has a say in it.
Of course he does. He's the Easter Bunny. All right, so you want to do that 10 to 12, you said? How does that work for anyone else or doesn't work for anyone else who's planning on participating?
What was
That's
the other
fine with-
option?
What's that?
What was the other suggestion?
So the flyer said 12 to 2, or I'm sorry, the newsletter, our fall newsletter, but I don't know if anyone's like gonna hold us to that. So 12 to 2 is what that said, but 10 to 12 is what we talked about as well. Either
Okay.
one works for me. I'm fine with
Yeah, I
10
like
to
10 to 12 is good.
Okay. All right, so let's shoot for 10 to 12. So the other thing was, well, there was a few other items. As far as the egg location, are we gonna keep it all within the top area by the tot lot and, the gardens? Or are we going to expand to other sections?
Well, I think we need to decide if we're going to divide it in groups, because if we divide it in groups, then we can put the eggs in different areas for different groups.
Yeah, I
You know-
thought we talked about the younger kids in the playground and then the older kids. Jeff did at the baseball field last time, although I don't really feel there's anywhere to hide an egg. It's more like throw it out in the grass and it's an egg scramble.
Yeah, if we were gonna do something like that, I mean, we were also, somebody, I think Jeff might have mentioned, we could do like that, like pick that main trail down by the bridge or something and just kind of hide along the edges of the trail there. That would at least give it some, you know,
At the bottom of the
portion of-
park? You mean at
yeah,
the,
down there, you know, yeah, exactly, down near the bridge.
I would just hate to separate it because what if a family has one big kid, one young kid, which could be common? You know,
Right.
what's the parent going to
True.
do? I think the
True.
parent has to be able to see both. And I was thinking about the your garden, but I don't think kids going back and forth through the parking lot would be good. I think to keep it on one side if we can.
Yeah, or we could, you know, we could block off like half of the parking lot from the entrance
Yeah.
to the garden.
That's true. So there's places to hide around the tennis courts and the bushes and the garden.
Right. Because if we're getting 1,000 eggs, we're gonna need to at least some area to put them, yeah.
So Jeff, what are your comments? How did it go last time, putting it out in the grass and what, you know, was that a good experience?
Well,
or-
my recollection was we peppered the tot lot. I mean, there seemed to be more eggs than you could see mulch on the tot lot, which was great.
But
And then they did around the ball fields and I think maybe up around the tennis courts, but it was a thing, we held the kids back as long as we could, arrive at X time, and it was like, go. Everyone scrambled, and I think within an hour and a half, it was over with. And everyone seemed to be happy, so.
and do you remember how many you had that time?
I kind of remember, and I checked with John Hocking, 200 to 300 kids. But I was hoping with Kyle's awesome talent, if she could create a advertisement that we could post on the website, Facebook, and around town, you know, we might be able to go upwards of that.
Yeah, and Kyle has been working on a flyer. She had a few of them and they all looked really good. I told her to hold off on finalizing it until we just got the details as far as time and all that.
Sure.
But yeah, you definitely have a talent with that, Kyle.
That's,
So okay, so what do you guys think as far as ages? Or I mean, I'm cool with just keeping it all in a single location. Like,
well, I just worry about little kids getting pushed over
Congratulations
by
to
big
Alex
kids.
and on getting married.
can you,
I'm trying.
okay,
What the heck was that?
that was not good, whatever that was.
Somebody broke in.
Yeah. How do we keep that from happening?
Well, good question. I didn't
Never
give him
seen-
permission to share the screen, so I don't know quite how that video started.
Okay.
Only you have permission as co-host.
Yeah, I didn't let anybody in.
Nope.
I think somebody used it as their profile pic. Is that what they were?
I don't know.
As their
It was a guy talking, but anyway.
Well, let's
move on.
move on from that.
Yeah. So what was somebody chiming in on
I
that
was-
topic?
Well, I just worry about the little kids getting pushed over by the big kids. You know, that's what I worry about, but I don't know. Jeff's done this before.
Well, like I said, that's why we did a lot of them on the tot lot, but you know, it was, again, the best thing we thought was just hold them back as long as we could, and then it was like, go. They did it, everyone was happy, and I don't remember anyone getting hurt, so.
So yeah, we could do that, or we could cone off, half the parking lot and use the parking lot as the divider. Say big kids this side, little kids this side.
Yeah. Whatever you guys want.
I really like the idea of splitting it up age-wise.
Okay.
I mean,
And
yeah,
where, but, so we need to decide where the two areas would be. I think everyone agrees the youngest kids are in the mulch in the tot lot. And then where do we put the next kids?
I mean, the only
Yeah.
other real hiding spot is, and it's not really that much of a hiding spot, would be garden and that kind of immediate surrounding area.
How about
Oh.
Greg's Meadow?
Well, if you're
Yeah.
gonna do like 2 and under or 3 and under, I mean, they're more worried about just getting them. You really don't need to hide them. You could throw them in the grass.
Well, the big thing in the end is if someone wants to be there to manage the age groups, that's great.
Right.
Just decide that if there's going to be someone or a couple of you showing up for that day for that purpose.
Well, I can definitely show up, but you know, I don't want to be a bouncer for children, you know.
Nope.
So, I mean, can we just split it like 6 and under this side, 6 and over this side? I mean,
Sure.
I just picked a number. I don't know if, how's that sound to you guys?
Let's just keep it simple.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
Age-wise, I think like 5 and under, and then 6 and above would probably be a good split.
And we gotta make sure the 5.5-year-olds have a spot.
They're 5.
Okay, gotcha. So 5 and under, we'll keep in the tot lot area. And then 5 or 6 and above, we'll
So
switch them
we need-
over to,
We need some signage, right, to say that? Who's in charge here? Is this Jeff's project? Who's the leader? We need a responsible person.
Well, since I know the Easter Bunny, I think I'm going to be tied up with him. So Kyle has that awesome talent. Maybe she can make some signs.
Yeah, they don't have to be fancy, just very basic with an arrow and an age and something that's attached the sign to, and maybe we can put it on a tree. You know, we don't need a stand. There's a tree next to the playground there, but, and then if we're gonna cordon off the end of the parking lot to keep it safe for them, we need caution tape and cones.
Mhm.
Caution tape and cones I can do. That's easy.
And then what are the boundaries on the other side, on the tennis court side, if that's what you said? I didn't hear what the final agreement was. Tennis
I kind of
court
like
slash,
that idea. I kind of like using that meadow. That gives a place to hide in there. And it's still, you know, it's not going to be full of poison ivy or anything that I've seen.
okay, yeah, we'll just lay them out in the grass there. Okay.
So we could use like the garden and the meadow there, unless
Yeah,
you want.
Maybe put like a cone at the corners of the meadows just so the kids know where the boundaries are, so they're not out on Parsons Road looking in the hedges or something.
is it
Right.
bad? Is it bad for the meadow for the kids to tromp through it? Like, I don't.
No, it's dead. It's
No,
dead.
I mean, I do kind of, ticks might be a concern.
Yeah, that's
for the
why I was wondering
parents.
for the ticks, and I don't know what it's gonna be like. I mean, how quick spring is coming.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not bad for the meadow, but you're right, it might be bad for the kid, but I don't know if they'll be awake or not. So what would plan B then be? The tennis courts and garden? There's
Got
nowhere
the
to hide them. in the
pickleball
tennis-
courts, Kyle.
Well,
I'm teasing, putting the eggs on the pickleball court.
Nowhere to hide them.
If it's a
Yeah,
fundraiser and it gets the pickleball ball court repaved, I guess they would say yes, but no. I think the healing garden's a good idea. I mean, it's close enough, right?
yeah, that's the next closest thing I would say that has enough like stuff to hide them in. We really don't have that much like good hiding spots. Otherwise,
do we have to worry about the kids tripping or anything on the boards or anything like that?
No, it's
Uh,
pretty
there's-
good shape.
If
Yeah,
that
and you
one
could-
board did that one board get reattached?
No, not that I know of, but I mean, there's literally like 2 boards there and they're not in the pathway. I mean, we could put,
We
We
just
could
need to
even-
get the rebar. There's like rebar metal spikes loose. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't know.
they could pick them up. That would just be the only thing. But we could move that stuff temporarily.
right, yeah, if there's any like any safety hazards, we can definitely pull them out. All right, so we're saying 5 and under on the tot lot area. I mean, we can use that grassy area too for the little ones. And then 6 and over in the gardens. And I mean, we could use the mowed area in that field behind the gardens. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you running 2 different times? Because if a parent has like a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old, they might want to watch, both of them. 10 to 10:30 and 10:30 to when it's done.
That's
I
gonna
mean,
be
I don't-
hard for the other kids to wait, like stand there and watch for a half hour while they're.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
I
you-
think.
I'm,
Hmm,
You
go
bring up a
ahead.
good point, Kyle.
I mean, I'm fine with just saying go and just releasing everyone.
Just pick your favorite kid. Oh,
Yep.
you're saying,
Exactly.
you're saying don't separate the ages, just everybody in one age. No, that's that. If you have a 2-year-old or 3-year-old, they're gonna get pushed down by the 7-year-old.
Yeah,
I
but
think
just
she's saying like start the one group at a different time than the other group. Is that what you were
Yeah,
saying? Or-
I mean, even if you have a 7-year-old, you don't want to have your time spent on the tot lot helping your 3-year-old and you're back to the 7-year-old. I mean, I guess ideally we would hope that there's a parent per kid, but that might not happen. So if you do it all at 10 and someone's in the tot lot with 3-year-old, the 7-year-old really can't be unattended. So I don't
Yeah.
know what the solution is for that. I mean, I understand what Kyla's saying is like, I know it's gonna
Well,
be.
well, the solution is that we have them all on the same side of the parking lot, and we do like Jeff did, and we put them in the like pavilion baseball field area. And then the mom can stand or the dad can stand between the 2 areas and watch both kids.
Well, that's even better. Why don't we do it on the Greg's Meadows side? The older kids can go in the higher grass and the younger kids can go in the mowed grass. That way moms and dads can park in the parking lot and everyone's on the same side of the road.
So no tot lot.
Well, if we're worried about kids crossing the parking lot and moms and dads being split up,
Hmm.
the other solution would be just to close off the upper parking lot for 2 hours or half of it for 2 hours.
I mean, yeah, I like that idea
Which one?
personally. Well, I just think the tot lot's kind of the best place to do it as far as hiding eggs.
And I know I'm
Yeah.
going to sound like my father saying this, but I think we may be overthinking this.
Right.
For sure. For
I
sure.
agree.
You know, I
And
think-
I don't disagree with everything. I disagree with Kyle. I would not want a 7-year-old to wander off while the parent's with the 3-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly
agree.
think, or we just say, you need a parent per child, which might be hard too. I don't know.
But then
Well,
what do
how
you
about-
do? Then what do you do if a parent comes with 3 children? You can't
Right.
turn them away.
Right. Or if it's a single parent or something.
Yeah, and that's the problem. So, I mean, I like Kyle's idea of the waves, which I know, Paul, you said that they'll be antsy, but maybe they could be spending time with the Easter Bunny could the older kids be hanging out with the Easter Bunny while the younger kids are in the tot lot, and then the Easter Bunny hangs out with the younger kids, I don't know how you do it. I agree, we're overthinking it, but I worry about a kid wandering off or getting taken.
Okay, so let's do it like that. We'll split it. And is it on the same tot lot and we restock, or you walk them across the street?
Is there enough area? Like if we just divide that area up?
No, not for 300 kids. You mean the tot
But-
lot?
No, like the tot lot and the area, by the pickleball court, that flat area. And then like have the eggs down further lower, for the older kids. So a parent can kind of stand in the middle and watch everything. Like down by the baseball field and down there, you can send the bigger kids.
Jeff, can I share my screen or Greg pull up the park?
Pull up what? Crossing Park? I think you gave.
I have it. Why don't you give me this screen sharing?
I think you're a co-host now.
The other thing is too, we may or may not be competing with a baseball game or practice or something else. So that's the other reason to keep it up by the tot lot and what I'm going to call from now on Greg Sachs Meadow in that area.
Greg Sachs Memorial Meadow.
Oh,
Yep.
don't memorialize.
He's not a memorial. He's not dead.
Still here.
Not yet.
He went crazy at the Easter egg hunt. So here's the tot lot. Can everybody see my screen?
Uh-huh.
That's the tot lot. And then we close the parking lot here, but that gets you the tennis courts and the gardens.
Yeah.
But then what I think Jeff was saying is tot lot, and then from pavilion and downhill for the bigger kids. I don't know how far downhill, maybe the baseball field. Jeff, you could look at the calendar to see if it's reserved for the Little League or something, but Little League only uses it during the week and they play their games on Saturdays at the Little League field. So I doubt they are using it on Saturday.
Well, just trying to play devil's advocate right now. I'd rather prepare for what might happen there.
We have this field here. It's small. I think it's too small for the big kids. And
What
there's
if we just
absolutely
had,
nowhere to hide?
right. Yeah, that'd be good for like the little ones too. What if we just had like one of us kind of like standing on the south edge of the meadow, just to like make sure no kids start wandering close to the road.
We would definitely need somebody posted along this perimeter for the driveway and the road.
Right. So what if just somebody's job was just to stay there and make sure, no one gets past them?
Is Mary on the call? Mary, are you on the call?
Yeah,
What are your ages of your kids? Do you have an opinion?
I have a 4 and an 8-year-old.
So they'd be in two separate groups, right?
They would be, but honestly, my 8-year-old, I wouldn't be uncomfortable with him being on his own.
Okay. All right. So then, yeah. So I'm just too far removed from it. So, so if your child was all the way on the other side of the tennis courts and you were probably with the 4-year-old, you'd be okay with the 8-year-old being in the healing gardens. You'd be okay with that, right?
Yeah, especially if
Okay.
there's going to be someone there. Like
Okay.
even like any adult, it would be fine.
But we will be here, but we don't know whose kid's who. So
Right. We could
stop
do.
the kid. I'm sorry,
Go
what?
ahead. I was going to say another thing we could do is just say, if you do have more than one kid, you can just keep your kids together, and like there's an age group here, an age group here, but if two kids that are in different groups, you don't have to follow that rule and keep your kids together. And
That's true. That's true. Because if I have a 4-year-old who has an 8-year-old sibling, they could probably keep up with the 8-year-old.
Yeah. That's true.
Somebody
I
who
like
doesn't
that.
have younger siblings. I kind of like that.
So
I mean, because
just
you would
say-
want to be able to see them together, right?
Right. Yeah,
Right.
take pictures and
I would
stuff.
guess so.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, that's a good solution. Just say if you want to keep your kids together, then that's fine.
So should we just keep what we had, the young group on the tot lot side, the old group on this side, but then,
And-
if you
and
have
what
two
is-
kids or more kids,
what
I guess you
is
send
what
them
is the
to,
area
I
here?
don't know.
What's the area
I would
here?
say
What I have
the-
circled. This is mode, right?
Yeah, Yeah, all that's mowed basically to the edge of the tennis court. So,
Right.
you know,
So,
we could do the gardens and then that grass area.
yeah, that's what my thinking was. And then we need to
That works
station
for me.
somebody stationed along here to keep the kids from running into traffic. And then stationed along Parsons to
Right.
keep the kids from running into traffic.
Yeah, I agree. I'm cool with that. What's everyone else think?
We need to block this off. And if we get that many cars, I mean, we only have this parking lot here. It's a long walk. We can park in the grass on left and right going down. So we need somebody directing parking. We need a parking director. And sometimes we've had them in the past parking among these trees, but I don't think we should if we can avoid it.
Yeah.
And then this temporary parking lot's a mess again. I think it's too far.
So that's not working.
We're not going to be able to count on it because it could be too wet still.
Yeah,
So-
I agree.
Right.
But-
Um,
You got to park here and then we can park in grass, but you're getting pretty far from the event.
Candy's a great motivator, Paul.
Just leave a trail up the hill for him.
Right. So
All right.
I'm sorry I keep saying it, but because I don't want to be in charge, but we need somebody in charge to coordinate all this, you know, on event day, making sure someone's stationed properly, the signs posted, the caution tape across. Jeff's got his costume zipped up in the back, you know, all this type of stuff.
I'll make sure we have cones and caution tape and then see if get a couple members of the FSA to help with parking.
Yeah, that'd be good.
But if Kyle or someone else can do the signs and the advertisement, that would be great.
Well, Kyle's already pretty much nailed the advertisement.
Oh, I'm sure she has, but I'm saying if she wanted to expand to the signs, that would be wonderful.
You
All
have,
right.
can you show it, Kyle?
Greg has it.
I have it. Let me see, because it's on. How'd you? You texted it to me though.
No, I emailed it to you.
You did?
Yeah, I did. Because you,
Hold on. Oh, okay. I never even saw that email.
you answered me.
Oh, okay. I did see that email. Sorry, too many emails. All right, let me share it. I'll pull it up. All right. Hold on. I don't know why is it so big. There it is. Can you guys see that?
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Easter egg hunt, Crossing Park.
And where's the flyer going?
Well, we can definitely post it on social media and
Website, local
website.
We
restaurants,
should,
and
we should print it and post it at the park too, at the playground.
Yeah,
Yep.
we could put it in the bulletin board there.
No, but I mean, they don't read that too often. I would actually want to print some at the playground so the parents can see it for the local kids. For on social media, Crossing Park isn't really known too well. Can we put the address on here somewhere?
So add the address.
Kyle, can you add the address?
Yeah, I'll add the address. And then we're just gonna have 2 age groups, right? 5 and under and 6 and above.
Yep.
All right.
And then, and like Paul said, the sign, I think just needs to be real simple, you know, just saying what you just said, 5 and under this way, 6 and above that way, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they're both gonna start at 10, right?
That's when the
Okay.
Easter bunny's arriving.
Okay.
Should we
So you
also
want-
mention the thing, like if you have more than one kid in different age groups? Like, how can we just say that simply?
Again, I'm saying this respectfully, guys. I think we're overthinking it. If you're
Yeah.
worried about them going out to the road, then maybe 2 or 3 members or FSA members could go up by Parsons, and if they see a stray kid, point them
Right.
back to the comfort station, you know, the brick building or the tot lot.
No, it's not about that. We need to do that, but correct. His point is that what if a parent doesn't know what to do with both kids because they want to take pictures or don't want to leave their kid alone? We want to say they're welcome to keep the kids together if necessary.
Yeah, we could
So-
make that like, you know, we could say that the day of. I mean, there's some kids who just might be super clingy and want to stay with mom the whole time. And if mom's with one kid and not the other, we could just make that decision. Like, we
Yep.
could probably say that day.
Yeah, or we could put it on those signs where it says 5 and under this way, 6, you know.
How about
If you-
something like siblings can stick together if necessary or something?
Right.
I have
That's what I
no
was thinking.
artistic ability, but I have a ton of poster board. Kyle, would you want some poster board?
Yeah,
I have green. I have lots of green. I had a kid who was doing a project and apparently I bought the wrong color green. So would green work?
yeah, I would think so.
I mean, with a black marker. So,
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Well, just text me and let me know how many sheets you think you need and I could drop it off at the office or meet up with you.
Okay.
All right, so let's try to wrap this one up. What else? I mean, we talked about providing baskets or paper bags.
Oh, I have on there to bring their own basket. I put on there, bring your own basket.
Just, I would suggest leaving that on and then we'll provide some paper bags.
Okay, in case somebody forgets or something.
Yep.
Okay,
And is the rain date going to be the same time?
I was
Next.
thinking about that. The only problem with that's going to be church.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
the rain date's what, Sunday, the 10th? I mean, what do you guys think?
I think Mary's right. I think about church. It's Palm Sunday. So
So what time is good then?
I would say, I guess 1:00.
Yeah, I'd agree with 1.
Well,
Uh-oh, Easter Bunny's got a problem.
Yeah, what
yeah, the Easter bunny's got a problem later that day.
Hmm,
So unless there's an alternate Easter bunny that steps in and we pray for sunshine on Saturday.
That's all you, Greg. Come on, Easter Bunny.
not it. I was gonna say not it.
Boy, that's a big ask.
What
Yeah.
time can you be there, Jeff?
10 to 12.
Well, let's just stick with it then and pray for rain.
Okay.
I mean, for sun.
All right. So 10 to 12 is the rain date as well.
Yep.
Okay.
Jeff, do you get hazard pay from the township for doing this?
I'll tell you an interesting story about that another time.
All right. Any other details on this, or can anyone think of anything else?
So who's coordinating the volunteers? Like someone's got to hide the eggs. And has anybody bought the eggs? Do we have them in hand?
No. But we're we were discussing that. Jeff, did you want to say anything on the eggs?
I'm just going to move and get it done.
Okay.
For the
Yeah,
eggs and the candy, so, and the paper bags.
Yeah, please do.
yeah, especially the way shipping and all that is these days. Okay, so yeah, he's gonna take care of the eggs. I can't really think of anything else.
And did you order your costume, Jeff? And who's gonna pick it
Easter
up? for
bunny's
you?
all booked, not to worry about.
But wasn't somebody volunteering to go get it for you?
Yeah, so I'm not sure I could help Saturday or Sunday, but closer to it, Jeff, if you need help, I could possibly go down Friday. I can work from the car and answer calls for work.
Well, I'm thinking between Jennifer and maybe Dawn Dowling, she's a sweetheart, or Greg Sachs. Maybe between the three of you, you can decide who can pick it up and take it back.
Okay.
I think I could
Okay.
probably do Friday.
Okay, and then is it due back Monday?
It is indeed.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if I have to, I can make the run too.
Oh, Dawn said she'll do it.
Okay.
On
But-
Friday.
Right, I'll hold Monday for now, Greg, and you and I will fight it out and see who, as we get closer to it, who's better for Monday.
Okay. I'll try to schedule something in Dover for that day.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, with the cost of gas, if you can pay for it, like with work,
Right.
but if not, I'll put it on my calendar for now.
He's got a Volt. He doesn't worry about gas.
No,
Yeah,
I'm still on gas, unfortunately. It's a cruise, not a Bolt. I wish it was a Bolt.
Oh, I thought you had a Volt.
No, it gets good gas mileage, but it's still gas.
What's next on the agenda, Mr. Sachs?
All right, let's move on. So next on the agenda was Teague, the Eagle Scout. He sent an email saying that I guess he's a little delayed on his project. The materials are coming in April, so he pushed it back a month. So that's the only update, unless you had something else.
Can you remind me, is he the one doing the Franklin Park Bridge or the Ford Farm Bridge?
I think he's doing the Ford Farm, the Gagan Trail?
Yeah,
Yeah, I believe that's the one he was working on.
okay.
Paul, is there someone coming to the 16th meeting? A Boy
He said he
Scout?
was. Yeah, he said he was.
Okay, just a reminder, if
Jonathan something.
he's presenting something, I need it in hand no later than March 9th for him to make the 16th meeting.
All right, I'll email him right now, but you know what's tough is I don't have an adult email for him, like a chaperone, so that's the way to get a hold of him.
For Teague?
No, for Jonathan.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's all I had on that. So dog waste bags. We made it, Jeff sent over some examples on that, so I can pull those up, go through those. But again, that's a pretty simple one. So we don't have to spend too much time. So this is the one we were taking a look at. You guys see that?
No.
Oh.
I
All right,
see
let
your
me try
face.
again. Let me try this again. How about now?
Yep,
Okay.
It's on my screen.
Okay. You said you can?
yes, see
can
it,
see
you
it.
can see it.
Okay. All right, so this is the one that that I saw, a pretty simple bag. You know, obviously we would need some sort of post or something. There was another option that was more expensive,
How
but I
about,
didn't.
how about
Go
we
ahead.
nail it to the side of the pavilion at the near the water fountain?
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, that could work. So what do you, I mean, there's not really too much to discuss here, but this was, I'm assuming Jeff saw a few and this was the best option.
I was just trying to keep it simple, something we could post, put up easily and put bags in, because
Right,
unfortunately, it's probably going to take abuse. So you don't want to get something that's $200, $300, $400.
right. So what do you guys think? This one's cool with you?
Old.
I think it looks good. I think it fits the bill.
How many do we need? I was
Two.
suggesting one for each parking area.
Yeah, I was saying just one for up top and one for down low. I mean, we could do more if you really think. But I mean, are a lot of people pulling in all the way to the like back parking?
I don't know. I don't know
I
where
mean-
the dog walkers go.
I
Yeah,
mean, we start in the back parking lot just because we go down to the trail in the woods, but I think if you start with two, you could find out, you'll figure out the demand based on how many bags are taken.
We
right.
can always
What do we-
order more later if they're successful or move one of them.
So
And
Paul,
where
are
do
you
we-
saying put one on each pavilion?
Well, I was suggesting the first one at the top pavilion, but I was now changing my mind that the side of the building by the bathrooms might be even better because you're right there. But the pavilion's fine. I'll stick with pavilion. It's easier to mount it to the wood. And then the second one, I guess the second pavilion, but that's not really on the trail.
Yeah,
right,
it's not as close to the parking lot for it to be noticed.
Yeah,
right.
so that one would need a post.
Can we put that one in a post right next to the trash cans? So people know where the trash can is, or?
Yeah, great. Yeah. And what,
Yeah, that makes
which
sense.
parking lot? The parking lot by the lower pavilion or the parking lot by the soccer field?
I would think by the lower pavilion, that's where I see most people park if they're gonna walk their dogs into the woods.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I would
People
say
seem
down
to
there.
go across the bridge and let them run on the other side of the bridge.
I know we're not supposed to do that. I don't do that, but I know I've seen other people do it, but it seems like that's what a lot of people do with their dogs.
Yeah, I think we should encourage it. I'd like to make that like a official dog park or something, but that's for future discussion.
Yeah. But yeah, like my
Alright.
dog likes to go in the creek right there, so.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just bring their dogs and let them go for a swim.
Yeah.
All right, so, and we have not actually gotten approval from the board on this one. But so two of these, one at the low end and one at the top.
And then Jeff, with the gentleman who like does the bathrooms or who does the trash cans, would he just have like a bunch of the trash bags to replace and a key?
He certainly would.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Okay. So next up, I had the memorial benches, and seems like we haven't made too much progress there. So
Yeah, I'm sorry, I confess, I haven't caught up with Jeff about that yet, and I feel like we're already got a lot of stuff on there. Is it possible for us to postpone this till next month?
yeah,
Is
I'm
that
fine
okay,
with
Jeff? I'll
that.
catch up with you before our next meeting.
Fantastic.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that's it for old business. New business. The Goodwin Preserve map. Not sure if everyone saw that, but that was updated. Thank you, Mary, for doing that.
Yes,
Um,
thank you so much.
That's the one that had the trail going down and making the turn at the creek, right? And it said parking.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I extended the trail because it looks like there is a trail there going along the creek.
Yeah.
But in
You did right. It goes along the
Okay.
creek for just 20 or 30 feet. You did right.
okay, cool.
But I didn't have a comment on that. What was the comment?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
And then Mary, you sent an email about a paragraph, a blurb.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what you're talking about with the write-up.
What was
Um,
that? What was that for?
well, Paul, you had said something last meeting about maybe writing up some sort of blurb about Goodwin and Banffshire. So that was just a little bit of information that I found out through like the Chester County Historical page and stuff like that.
So was this to actually go like with the map?
I'm not sure exactly what was in mind.
That's where I
Maybe-
would put it.
You mean
Okay.
like at the location, like put it on the map at the parking lot,
I was thinking on the website.
or both?
Okay, we can do both.
Do we have an actual bulletin board at Goodwin, or is that the Hunter's
Yeah, there
board?
is.
It's a hunting bulletin board. We'd have to
Okay.
get their permission to post something on it.
So maybe I can reach out to Bob and see if they're willing to let us do that.
This is kind of a side comment, but a trash can would be great there.
So they're kind of a double-edged sword, because if you put something there in a popular spot, people driving by fill it up with stuff. But if you don't have one, people litter. So it's kind of,
Right.
Yeah, there was a
It's-
bunch of like food bags and McDonald's stuff scattered right along the road there.
Jeez. Yeah.
we could try it. It's really up to Jeff. We could try it. It's more work for the maintenance crew. What do you think, Jeff?
We can certainly put a can out there and try it. Ultimately, it's going to be up to John Hocking doing the rounds to do that stuff.
So may I suggest that he pokes a hole or multiple holes in the bottom edge of all his cans, because the one at Banffshire fills up with water and then it freezes. It's very nasty.
Hmm.
I'll suggest that to him again.
Yeah, because if he just lets the water run out, that would really keep it easier to dump.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll move on.
Um,
You have something else?
well, I had a comment on her paragraph. Do you have that?
I can pull it up.
Oh, my comment was that Jeff should put the new Goodwin map on the website. That was my comment.
It is on the website
Okay, thank you.
and was posted on Facebook too.
That's awesome. So Mary, I like your paragraph. I would like to just make an addition, something about the Goodwin family
Okay.
for which it is named and for who donated part of their easement.
Do you need me to pull it up or no?
I was
Good.
trying to find it real quick, but I'm having trouble finding it.
I have it.
Did they donate it in 2008? Because that's when the last sale was.
It wasn't a total donation. We paid them, but there was some donation aspect to it. I just don't remember what.
Mary, I don't
Percent.
know if you know, but there's a good article on the tree planting on the township page.
Yeah, that's where I got the last little line there.
Okay, gotcha. So can you see it, Paul? Can you see the her write-up?
It's 2,450 saplings.
I can change that.
I had to count them. So, I'm reading my own write-up on it. It says Goodwin Preserve is a 19-acre parcel purchased by the township in 2009 as part of an agreement with the Goodwin family to preserve their farm. 62 additional acres were preserved and still owned by the family.
Can you send that
So-
to me?
Yes. But that's funny. I mean, we did 62 acres, but then we did like another 100 acres after that from the Goodwin family. So I'd have to find what that number is. We did it in sections. Some of it was ag easement, some of it was conservation easement. But overall, after we bought the 19 acres, we preserved over 200 with them. It was, or near 200, I can't remember.
Wow.
And some of it goes all the way up into New London Township. I'll send you the paragraph I have, Mary, and you can make what you want. You've done great here with the mill history and all that. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
And the mill, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The mill still stands. It's that brick building.
Oh, okay.
You guys ever see it? It's right against the road.
Mm-hmm.
It's in rough shape, unfortunately, and it was converted to mushroom houses in the 1950s. So that's why the bricks are all falling apart, because the steam from the mushroom houses is not good for bricks. But it's a pretty cool little piece there. And some of the dam is still existing too.
Cool. All right. Can I move on?
Please.
All right. All right. So next up was, I called them the garden plots around Crossin. So Jeff had a great idea of kind of putting that out to volunteers. There's 4 total garden plots around Crossin, around the paved path. And when I say garden plots, I'm referring to those kind of areas where it's mostly trees and shrubs in different little sections. So there's 4 of those, and then there's also the planters in the top parking lot. 3 of them have a lone dogwood in there, and 1 is completely empty. So Jeff's idea was to put that out and see if any volunteers were interested in kind of taking, part kind of ownership a little bit, not obviously not ownership, but volunteering to maintain and improve those. So we put that out there. I did find one family that is interested in doing that. And they even, when I was talking to them about, possibly adding plants, they offered to purchase extra tree or plant or shrub to put into the garden. Dawn, I know you seemed like you possibly were interested in it as well.
Yes,
don't know
I am.
Would you be willing to take on a whole plot, or take on like a planter, or what do you see?
If you don't mind, I'd like to go over and reassess and see what sizes they are. I know I looked at them the other day, but.
Yeah, definitely. I will say the family that I spoke with, they're very interested in volunteering. In fact, and they're also, they've already put in 2 memorial trees at Crossin. So the plot that they were interested in is nearest to their 2 memorial trees, and I can kind of tell you where it is. It's, I don't know. You just take a look at them. I don't want to waste everyone's time showing that, but they're still.
We can talk about it. Yeah, and
yeah.
I'll try to dig up some other people.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. I envision us especially with those planters up top, they need something in there, especially the one that's completely empty. Just to match the other 3 planters there, we could add a tree. But also I would suggest putting in some sort of ground cover in there. I'm assuming the maintenance or whoever does the landscaping there, I don't know I'm assuming they spray the weeds that pop up. And that's, if that is the case, we're just basically poisoning that one tree that lives in there, and it's going to end up dying, and then we're going to have more work to do. So if we put a nice ground cover, or, if we find somebody who's interested in doing more than, a single species of ground cover that keeps the weeds out, I think that would be the best option. So that's where we're at. If anyone knows of anyone who'd be interested, definitely send them our way. I don't know, does anyone else have any input or thoughts on that?
I thought when we did the healing garden, weren't we going to get a tree to replace that one?
No, we talked to, well, first we had that Eagle Scout who was supposed to do it.
Oh, that's
But yeah, he ended up not doing as many trees as we were hoping for. We could easily throw another dogwood in there. It seems like one of the dogwoods is not very healthy. I was kind of inspecting it. A lot of the branches are dead on it. And dogwoods aren't really meant for full sunlight, which is that kind of location.
And just keep in mind, those are probably about 20 years old, those
Right.
dogwoods. I don't know
Okay.
if that's good or bad for them.
I mean, they're, that's, I don't know, good or bad, but they should still be healthy. I mean, it's kind of a weird spot in there. They're not getting much nutrients. We just have mulch in there, so there's nothing that's really feeding them. So I don't know. I mean, I think they definitely need more work. I think I could see somebody really like putting some good flowers and stuff in there. I mean, it's a perfect little garden bed for somebody to work on. We just have to, I think, find the right people to do it.
Well, I know there's a couple master gardeners and people around here that, probably don't know anything about this.
Right. Yeah, I think we just need to get the word out more. I posted about it, and when I posted it, I showed more photos of the garden plots, which, like, I'll be honest, one of them is, there's not much work to be done except weeding and mulching. And I don't think that's super appealing to somebody who wants to volunteer. Because it's, the one that's on the northeast area near the walking trail, it's pretty full with the shrubs and the tree there. So there's not much that you could add to it. But those planters, I think that would be appealing to the right people who are interested in gardening. So I don't know, Jeff, if you want to just, I know you were trying to look for an answer sooner than later on this. If you want to proceed with the majority of them, and we block off certain areas that people will volunteer for.
Yeah, because I'm going to be pushing next week to put this bid package out.
Mhm.
And just the experience I know over the entire existence of the park, volunteers are going to do a better job of weeding than any mowing contractor will. So
Right.
I've
Yeah,
seen
they're
some
terrible.
pretty surprising things over the years from different contractors. So if we can get the volunteers, that would be so much the better. But
Yeah, I agree.
if we block off the 4 raised wooden planters and the raised planters in the healing garden, I don't know, and let the outliers go.
Yeah, I
I
think
said
those.
there's a big difference between gardeners and lawn mowers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Agreed.
And we need to find more gardeners that want
You
to
you
really
bet.
make it beautiful. How about you, Donna? You any interest in gardening?
Well, so I love the garden, and the garden by the Township office building, that's my baby. So that's the one
Oh, nice.
And really, I'm the kind of person who loves to do the weeding. So that's a fun thing. Like, I don't need to plant new stuff. I just like to maintain what's already there. So you said there's a spot that needs weeding. I could do, the weeding's good for me. If there's that one that just needs weeding, I can look at that one.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would love to refrain from spraying, and poison or, chemicals into the soil as much as possible. And I'd be very surprised if these landscaping companies are getting in there and hand weeding anything. So the more people that actually are interested in doing some weeding, that would be ideal in my eyes. So my goal, I'm just gonna try to push the planters more. I think once we get more people interested in the actual garden installation, the healing gardens, maybe we can kind of also suggest or show them those and see if anyone's interested in helping out there.
Do you have an ETA on when they think you're going to put that in?
Yeah, so the gardens are scheduled for the week of April 18th.
It's Easter, right around Easter.
Yes, right around Easter. I think it's the day after Easter, actually.
After Easter, right, yeah.
So I spoke with Red Tail Restoration, who's going to be doing the install, and our plan was to do it with them and then also supplement that with volunteers. And I spoke with Greg from Red Tail, and he's fine with kind of working with volunteers. He suggested they get like a full day or two to get going and figure out how they're going to go about it, and then he'd be happy to work with volunteers later on in 2 or 3 days after that. So yeah, but that's when the plants are scheduled for shipment. We were kind of exploring whether or not we could go pick them up. There's 2 nurseries we're dealing with. One is doing the woody stuff, the trees and the shrubs. The other's doing the perennial flowers and grasses. And they're both, one's over an hour away. The other one's a little bit under an hour. But yeah, we're all scheduled for that. All right, so the only other, I'm sorry, I skipped over something. So I brought this up via text. I did start a Friends of Crossan Park and Franklin Township Preserve Facebook group. This is a good way for us to reach out to people for volunteer opportunities. The group's up to about 130 something people in it. So it's, it's a good, like I said, just a good way to reach out to people, let them know about events and whatnot. So if you're not, if you're on Facebook and you haven't joined, definitely join up on that. And feel free to post stuff if you can think of anything that isn't covered.
Do you guys know if you're going to do yoga again?
Yeah, I'm cool with doing it. I spoke with Tracy, who's the yoga instructor, and she is very excited about doing it again, as long as, we'll have her. So I don't see, it's not costing the township anything. So what do you guys think? I was fine with proceeding with doing another season of it.
I just think the more activity people see, the more excited they're going to get.
Yeah, I agree. And I keep saying to her, wait till we get these gardens in, you're going to have a real beautiful spot to do yoga, because she does it right next to the gardens there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, she's completely on board. She's excited to do it. I think she's even gotten people that are still doing yoga with her from our classes at Crossan.
So she should have a calendar. I was thinking we need to post something for her.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you said, does she have a calendar or?
Yeah, yeah. When she's gonna start?
That I didn't really get into the detail as far as when she wants to do it. I'm assuming that, whenever the weather starts warming
Yeah,
up. So,
I guess, right.
but yeah, I can reach out to her and kind of get that ball rolling, and we can start advertising that. Okay, so I'll move on from that. So this is the last topic that I had. I probably shouldn't have saved it for last, but the tree planting proposal that I sent over to you guys, and I can pull that up. Oops. All right. Where was I? So did everyone get a chance to read through this or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good. So I'll just
So,
briefly. What's
Yeah,
that?
I'm sorry, Greg. I'm not gonna lie. It was way better that I was there and you were able to show me. I'm just not great at visualizing the locations, but I was glad to
Sure.
see like when you pointed out the actual spot.
Yeah, and
are you able to show the locations on the screen just to because I read it, but I don't get a sense of how it all fits together.
yeah, definitely. So let me.
You had a nice map there. Where's your map?
Yeah, let me pull that up. All right, so this is the overview.
Yeah, that's what I was. If you could help me out with that. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know where that is, Donna?
Yeah, I see the map. I'm just trying to get oriented, because we have Crossing Park and Franklin Preserve is part of this, correct?
Right. Yes. So that can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
And Greg,
So
the far left circle, that's the one you showed me. That's right across from the other planting.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Right, thank you.
So the white line right down the center is the dividing line between Franklin and Crossing Park.
Okay.
So that on the left is a section that is directly. So if you look at that red circle to the left, there is where the old tree planting, I'll call it, is. It's divided by this hedgerow, and then there's this small section, and I don't really know the history of it. I know there was a partial tree planting. Is that correct, Paul?
The triangle was fully planted. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. So that was fully planted.
Fully
Wow.
planted. That was the primary planting, and then the square to the left was the secondary planting. And it wasn't quite as big. So
Right.
when it failed, and then Shane Morgan came back to replant, she abandoned the triangle and just went bigger on this rectangle.
Gotcha. So, and just to be clear, the reason for failing was the trees were planted too low. Is that what you thought?
That's definitely what happened.
Okay.
Brandywine Conservancy ran it. I was not involved. I was leaving office and could not. They did it during the week. I could not take off from work, and they had a Brandywine Conservancy guy who was really an office guy go out and run it. He wasn't familiar with tree planting techniques and how to organize volunteers and do quality control. So I went out the weekend after just by myself and noticed that majority were planted too deep, and just out there by myself, I corrected as many as I could and got to less than 100, and then gave up and said I intended to come back and never did, and they soon died. That's what Bern Sweeney from Stroud Water told me when we did our Goodwin Preserve planting. The number one reason trees die is because people plant them too deep, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
I also remember it was a pretty dry period, and that they really should have been watered. But typically we do not water plantings, but I
Right.
was thinking they really had a hard life, planted too deep and a dry period.
Yeah.
So near
there's-
total failure.
Yeah, that's sad. So I would say there's probably about, and I don't know if you fix these trees, I'd say there's maybe 20 in there that are still surviving.
So everything I
Um,
fixed was on the left side. That's all I got
Okay.
to. I don't know where you saw the 20 trees, but I fixed up on the left side.
So, yeah, I'm referring to the area, the red circled area. So there are probably
Yeah,
about
no,
20.
that's what I mean. The left side of the triangle is what I fixed.
So
Where
Paul,
the-
just a comment. There was a determination made many years ago that said this would be a good area to plant trees, right? So that determination was made, and that's why that project was undertaken in the first place. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We had such great success with Goodwin. Brandywine Conservancy got so excited. They're like, look, we want to do more with you. We had great success. We have another group of trees. We got funding. Can we plant them in your park? And we're like, yeah, but we can't organize it like we did last time. You need to organize it and get the volunteers. So they got the volunteers and the funding and ran it start to finish. And it
I
is
guess
done. It's look how close it is to the White Clay Creek, just to the top left there. It's a great location for,
Right.
and then the forest is broken. So what it does is fills in the forest to get a, what's the term, Greg? Like a whole forest.
They call it interior forests.
There you
You
go.
know,
Yeah.
Yeah, the bigger interior forest you have, the more, usually a healthier forest. And like I said in the email, that there's certain species of birds, other wildlife that only will survive with interior forests, and those are not doing well and a lot of these species are declining because of loss of habitat. So that's my goal. Is you'll see all three of the circles are connected on most sides to forest. So the goal would be to expand the connection, the interior forest, and lessen the fragmentation of it. So yeah,
I was talking to Jeff earlier today, and Jeff, you made a comment that there was an area in this plan that maybe might be better not to plant. So I think you were in favor of 2 of the 3. Could you just point out the one that you saw people play on?
Can you zoom out, Greg, so we can get a more of a bird's eye view? This is just my suggestion for what it's worth. I'd like us to keep that center circle open where it's mowed, because people go down from that pavilion and play Frisbee and football down there. My suggestions would be for alternate locations would be across the steel bridge. If you could pan up, Greg, on the other side there, you've got that big area on the other side of the steel bridge.
Mm-hmm.
That either that area, or take it, I guess you would call it east of the right circle, kind of right where that right angle is, and fill that area in along the forest up until the paved path possibly.
Mm-hmm.
That's my suggestions for what they're worth.
They're worth thinking about. So you support what we were talking about for Franklin, right? But that seemed you have nothing against that one.
Oh, no, not at all.
Right.
I
So
love trees. Yeah, I absolutely love trees. It's just, I would like to keep that center circle open and mowed, because people do use that for active recreation.
So Jeff, is that center circle the part below the pavilion right before you walk into the trail where we were just talking about, like where the dogs?
Is.
And it's on there's a hill there. I mean, I saw kids sledding there.
Well, that's the area that's circled is the flatter of all the area. To the right and closer up to the pavilion is hilly.
It's more,
Steep.
yeah, it's more
Okay.
sloped, and then when it hits the trail, which is where my red line is, on that other
Right.
side, it is a little flatter on that side.
Okay, I guess I would just worry that people walk through that so much to get to the trail.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's, the paved trail is still there.
Yeah, but you'd have to, I mean, you'd have to leave an opening in the woods to get to that trail, correct?
No, no, zoom in, Greg. You're mistaking the truck access road for the trail.
Oh, okay.
His red line follows the trail.
Oh,
Right.
okay, okay. I'm looking at it from the wrong way. Okay, I see.
Yeah,
I'm
they
terrible
cut-
at directions.
Jeff can correct me, but that clearing is where they cleared the trees to bring the bridge in.
Okay, is that circle where like the FSA goes in and like the bulletin board might be there?
That's,
That's up at the parking lot.
yeah, it's right below my circle where that little dark, that's one of the garden plots is right below that circle.
Oh,
And to
okay.
the left there is where where their bulletin board is. and
I
I-
guess my only concern would be is I mean, I guess what they were saying is Jeff said, the Franklin is a definite. Is I would hate to do all three and have all three fail. Maybe we do one, see how it does. Give it some time.
Well, I mean, unless we do it wrong, I don't see why it would fail.
No, and again, please don't mistake my ask here. I love trees. I think you ought to do it in Franklin Preserve. I think it's a great idea in the East Meadow. I think that's fantastic. I'm just asking you to move that middle one,
Yeah,
either to
and
the north side of the steel bridge or to the right of the one in the East Meadow.
Right,
Or that
I
right-
get that.
And is if you move it north of the Steel Bridge, Paul, is that where we were saying the dogs run?
It is, but there's plenty of space up there. You can see there's 2 meadows.
Oh, okay.
And
Right,
you can
and-
see that,
Maybe to the left of that trail?
you can see, no, the upper and lower. I would do the upper hilly one. The dogs
Yep.
don't go up there. And you can see we had Chesco Views correct the line. So the dotted line of the park boundary is now correct on Chesco Views. It goes along the vineyard fence. It used to go way up into the vineyard, but it's now corrected. So the map is true now.
Another option you have is to don't do the center, just do the two ends, and that will, you don't have to do three, but definitely do Franklin, and I'm speaking as public now, I'm not, the board will have another conversation, but, do the two ends, or at least make that your proposal.
Yeah, so that's an option because the center one is the smallest, I'll call it a parcel of the three. I think it is important as well to have this right side one because, we don't want to do, I think it's better to have some tree plantings that are exposed to the public. Not many people are walking way down in Franklin Preserve.
Mhm.
But if we have something right here, next to the paved walking path, we'll be able to kind of show off the work that we're doing, in the park.
That's a good point. Then people kind of see what's going on and see the projects.
And with
Exactly,
the slope in that area, I think that would be perfect a place to have one of them.
Right, yeah, this area is more sloped, so it's not as functional for play and it's also only mowed once a year. So that's part of kind of the meadow, more natural area.
And does that help keep the invasives back if it has actual trees and stuff?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it'll take maintenance for sure. You gotta wait until you can kind of fill in the canopy. And you'll still, there's still invasives that'll come in or try to come in. But yeah, I mean, that's part of the goal is to close that canopy with the trees. And once you get that ground shaded, it'll help fight invasives for sure.
Yeah, and I definitely think the one on the left, it's just a shame. It makes me feel sick to my stomach. The hours lost, the money lost.
Right. Yeah.
But it's almost like it has to be fixed just because it's completely
So,
unusable.
Right.
so the triangle, you mean?
Yeah.
So I have a suggestion is to I think your total calculation, Greg, was 600 trees. And so I would stay with the
Correct.
600 trees. And whatever we don't put in the middle, I would put in the rectangle area tree planting that's in the screen now, where some of the trees have failed and died. And then we would do infill and fill them back in for the purpose of getting that planting up into a canopy faster so that we don't have to do maintenance on it. Because it has some big holes in it right now that won't be a canopy for like 20 or 30 years.
You're
That's a
and you're
great-
talking about where the actual other the majority of the trees are, right?
Yeah, where the majority of tubes are right now, there's a lot of open spaces where those trees have died or been mowed over and taken, I don't know what it would be. What was your center parcel, 100 trees or something? So take 100 out of the 600 and put them in here to fill in what's lost.
Yeah, and
Kind
I
of-
think that's a good idea.
Kind of correcting what's been lost, and then that tree planting becomes whole again. Because right now, Shane is going to stop doing maintenance this year or next year, but I don't know which, but soon. And now it's going to be on us to do maintenance. And so if you don't have thick, full canopy overhead, you have to do maintenance for much longer. So
Right.
just like Goodwin, when we got the canopy, the mowing and the weeds and everything slowed down significantly.
It's a great
Yeah.
idea, Paul.
Yeah, I think it's better to kind of finish that project.
Yes,
Than
that's especially since it's now our responsibility if Shane
Right.
doesn't come up with
yeah,
more
and
money.
I believe Shane said this year, 2022 is the last year
Last year.
for the maintenance.
So one
So
more.
yeah, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I was gonna say I'd be cool with that. I just with this whole grant and process and applying for funding, like, do I need to how specific do I need to be? Like, can I say that we're gonna take 100 trees and fit them in there, or do I need
Yeah,
to?
absolutely. And you should say
Okay.
it's for the purpose of repairing a failed planting, or not failed, but partially failed planting or something.
Right. Okay.
You could get a
And,
nice
Shane-
one. Yeah.
I'm sure Shane would back you up on that. Like she would write a nice email saying, this is our planting, we planted it, and we want him to finish it off or whatever.
Right. Okay.
And I'm sure you could get a nice wide shot of the open spaces there.
Yeah, we were driving the trucks
Right.
in there last weekend and plenty of places to turn around, right? That's not a good thing.
Right.
So could you zoom into the center one? So Donna and Dawn, this is for you, that we have to do MS4 stormwater now and then. I don't know if it's annually or what, but to get points and credits or something. I don't know the terminology.
Well, actually,
And-
to keep our license, yeah, we have to do it.
Right. And one of the projects Joan and I talked about 2 years ago or 3 years ago with the engineer was that our park is in bad violation of current stormwater practices. It was in compliance when it was built, but today's practices, it would not meet standard. And the reason is that long driveway down the center road to the parking lot that he's showing right now. The water runs all the way down there to that lower parking lot and right off the bottom and just ruins the mulch in that little garden there. That's the dark spot under the red circle. There's
Mhm.
so much runoff from that road and parking lot, and there's no retention basins or dispersion. So Joan's plan was to put a retention basin down there, to have it engineered to handle the water load coming off the paved surfaces for that section of the park. And you would get stormwater credit for that. So she was kind of keeping that in her back pocket when we ran out of other stormwater projects. But now that Joan's gone, I needed to pass that information on to you guys to say, we need to keep that one in mind. And I think that's just one more reason not to plant trees there if we're going to put a stormwater basin there. But I don't know where the stormwater basin would go, right? That's up to the engineers. But it's
Right.
somewhere in that area.
And Paul, you know that we have stormwater money through COVID, so there should be and I'm glad Jeff's on the call, we should be creating a list of priority projects, and capture this somewhere on the list. I don't know where it would be in the priorities, but we should capture
you
it
can-
on.
You can see damage. There's so much water. You can see damage at the edge of the parking lot. You can see damage in that black area where the mulch is washed away from that small garden. And then down at the top of the circle where the paved path goes into the woods, you can see washout there. So the washout continues all the way to the woods. Now, a riparian buffer would definitely help that. I mean, that's great, but it wouldn't be as good as a stormwater basin. That's the, that'll hold back everything.
Jeff, is
So-
this already on the list? I know we have projects that you've been talking to Ron Reagan with. Does this get on the list, or can we create a list, or?
We can put it on the list. I have to be honest, I had forgotten about it until Paul just mentioned it about the basin idea. But it's something we can put on the list. I'll put it
Sure, I
that
think-
way.
And then we can talk about, from a priority perspective, where we put it. We still haven't heard back from the DEP, so we don't even know if we have our permits. So it's good to have these things in hand.
Correct.
Yeah, and then depending where the basin goes, there may be a time in future years where we decide we can plant some trees around it or below it or whatever,
Okay.
on the steep areas or something.
I just think the thing right now is to put it on the list and then determine where it falls to see if it's in the top 5
Yeah.
or the bottom
Yeah.
10.
Yeah, and the idea was though not to plant the trees and then regret doing it. That was my point.
Right.
Right.
All right.
I love the idea though, Greg. I appreciate you doing all that homework on all those funding sources. That was excellent. That's the hard part, is getting the money.
Yeah, and I'm still gathering information. I actually just spoke with Corey Trice today, and she's basically the go-to for 2 of the funding sources options that I sent to you guys. So obviously my goal would be to get this fully funded. Speaking with Shane, she says, obviously you have to have some match, but that can be volunteers doing the work can count as your match. There's a bunch of different rules for each funding source, and I don't know how much detail you guys want me to go. I'd be happy to go through whatever. But yeah, so each one is kind of different. There's the Doc Stater Foundation, which could basically fund the entire project. Tree Vitalize, which is through Corey Trice, who I mentioned, is another program. That one seems like kind of a more complicated application. So we can explore it, but that one's more complicated. She said the program is kind of slowed down because I guess they don't have as much staff working on it, but the funding is still there. So that would be a fall application, and the planting wouldn't even, the earliest you could do it is spring of next year, or fall of next year.
Could you show your list again? Your email was great.
Yeah, let me get back.
And Jennifer, on that picture you're just showing, you see how the trail went to the right?
Yeah, I'm just not great at the directions. I'm sorry. It was good when Greg was there and actually got to show me, but I was heartbroken in how many trees didn't make it. Like, that stresses me out. That
puts more pressure on us making it successful this time.
Jennifer, if you want to stop another major loss, go out to Peacedale and start cutting vines, because that planting is in trouble.
Yeah.
That's not our planting, but it's in trouble. It's our township.
But I talked to Nancy, we got them to schedule a couple I think they actually canceled the second volunteer because it got too cold.
Yeah.
But they did do the first one, and apparently they're going to be scheduling more volunteer events there.
Yeah, they need it, but it's got to
it
be
needs
done
it ASAP.
before March, because at the end of March, the vines start growing and then it's just too hard to do.
Right. Yeah, it gets thick in there, and there's invasive trees in there that are really taking over, and they're going to grow quick. There's a bunch of Bradford pears in there that are, I'd say there might be 100 trees already, invasive trees in there.
Go down to the bottom where you had your listing of funding. Yeah.
All right, so here's the funding. Yeah. So, and I kind of overestimated as far as the actual trees that, and this was counting that separate area, but I guess we'll still shoot for 600 trees. Like you said, we can use that to fill in the other side. We do have the 300 tree tubes that we saved from the trash. So that'll, cover half of the tree tubes that we need. As far as funding, here we go. I'll just kind of scan through here. Dock Stater is the most pressing one that you have to apply by April 1st. And Shane told me that one's a pretty easy application. So that's something that I could handle and not really have too much time that has to be used for that. We talked a little bit about doing volunteer versus getting it funded to do the installation. Dock Stater would be the only option that funds actual installation. But Paul, you made a great point that it's important to kind of do it with volunteers to get people involved and have some ownership in the projects.
Well, I would say if you can get funding to plant it, then get it and pay to have the ones in the woods planted where the triangle is in Franklin Preserve.
Mhm.
And then keep the one in Crossan Park for volunteers where they can easily drive up and park and
Right.
they'll see the fruit of their efforts every time they walk in the park. And it gets them to feel ownership into the park when they plant the trees.
Right.
So if you can get the funding and let the professionals do the ones in the woods,
Mhm.
then if you can't get any funding, then we'd have to have volunteers do both areas.
Right. So that was Dock Stater. I went over the Tree Vitalize one a little bit. That's a fall application for either a spring or fall 2023 planting. Funding could include everything as far as supplies, trees, cages, mulch, bird nets, just not the installation.
So that's how we funded Goodwin, was a Tree Vitalize program through the Philadelphia Horticultural Society. They were
Right. Yeah,
managing
that's
it.
who she said kind of administers it now.
Yeah. And they came out and planted the trees and then came out and counted them after we planted them.
Okay. So she said that one's definitely more paperwork, more requirements as far as like mapping and photos and that kind of stuff. It does have, I was going to say, it does have its benefits. She said you can buy larger stock from them. So the trees are bigger than the next option, which is the 10 million trees for PA. I'm just scanning through my notes here.
So we partnered with Brandywine Conservancy and they did all the paperwork and mapping. We didn't do anything.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I don't know if we can have that support from Natural Lands Trust or if we can ask Brandywine Conservancy to help us, but we had a much better relationship with them. They used to attend our monthly meetings and really guide us on what to do.
Oh, okay. So you think it'd be worth maybe trying to reach out to them and see if they.
Yep.
Paul, do you know whether you have to pay to be a subscriber? I don't know whether the township is still paying to be a subscriber to the Brandywine.
No, Auerbach stopped all that. We're no longer a member of the Brandywine Conservancy.
Well, see, that might be you pay to play kind of thing with that. So I can try to find out for you too.
Yeah, that'd be great since you're much more familiar with them.
Yeah, Dawn, and it's not that we're looking for a membership again. It's that, hey, can they assist us with applying for a grant to get a tree planting for 600 trees? Like that's, 600, it's a lot of trees, but it's not a big planting for them.
Sure, absolutely. And I know that failure thing was about they were under the gun to get trees planted number wise, and they were getting corporate help to do that. And I'm embarrassed to say that I think that fell under that category.
Yeah, and I think what we all learned though was tree planting is just the first step. You need years of maintenance afterward to make it work.
Yeah, for sure.
I always wondered when I see all the trees with all the tubes still around them, who's taking care of them?
Yeah, they
Me.
they do need care. You know, it takes time for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
you can see it at Peacedale.
Right. So I'll just wrap up the other funding options. So 10 million trees for PA is also through the County Conservation District. I put in here funding would only include trees. After talking to Corey today, she did say that their last batch did come with the stakes, the tubes, and the bird nets. She wasn't sure if they were going to continue doing that through into the fall. So she basically said next time I talk to her, when, you know, if we have more details, and hopefully she'll have that answer for us. That she said we would need a final count in around May, and we could do a fall planting with that one. Ideally, I would prefer a fall planting. I think, you know, I've always known overall it's better in fall to plant trees right before they kind of go dormant in the winter. But you know, you can plant trees in spring as well. It's just I think overall it's a better way to do it in the fall.
Yeah, I agree.
These trees are going to be a little smaller than the tree vitalized. She said these are 1-year-old containerized trees, but she said they still do great, and she said still had great success with them. She also said this would work for kind of a phase planting, like Jennifer mentioned earlier. So if we were going to do, you know, one section at a time and then, you know, go a year and do another section, this funding option might be better for that. And then there was, you know, wild clay, wild and scenic, which Shane Morgan's been incredibly helpful with answering my questions about all this. She said they have mini grants available. She emphasized that she would need us to have a maintenance plan. She said she's, you know, seen too many projects get planted and then there's no maintenance plan, and it just kind of falls apart from there. But that seemed very promising. Unfortunately, Matt Thompson, our bike friend, is not on the call, but he also threw out there that his organization, Velo and Me, could provide volunteer support and possible funding towards the project as well. So there's a lot of opportunities or possibilities there. None of them are a guarantee, but you know, I'm just kind of taking it one step at a time. So first I wanted to present this to you guys, see how everyone thought about it, and then kind of go from there.
So I think it's great, Greg. The hardest part is dedicating the time to pull it all together, get the funding, organize the volunteers. And if you're willing to do that, I think it's great. I'm not going to volunteer to organize it. I'd happily show up on planting day and help you, but it's a good, tree planting is always a good thing. And there's a lot of excitement around tree planting these days with all the climate change discussions and carbon capture and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a big driving factor for me. You know, as a Parks and Rec board, I think it'd be a great accomplishment for us as well to do, you know, significant tree planting. I didn't mention, but in the email I did mention it, but a lot of these grant opportunities kind of want to know how you're, you know, involving the public and how you're educating the public. So I think a sign, something that kind of teaches why we're doing it, what's the benefit of it, especially if we do one right next to that paved trail, I think would be very beneficial and could help us in getting a grant. So that was another little thing I put in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Greg?
I worry. I'm sorry. I worry about the volunteers, and I'm like Paul. Like, I'll show up and I'll help plant. I'll be nervous I'm planting them too deep. But is there a way, Greg, that you said that you may? I mean, is it possible to reach out to like a high school environmental club? I mean, I was saying like my kids are required to do service hours. National Honor Society requires service hours. But if you almost tapped in specifically to an environmental club and had some type of relationship with like a professor or teacher at the high school, like that might be like a great environmental club,
So I agree, but tree plantings attract a lot of attention. We had 200 people for our Goodwin planting, and with 2,450 trees, if everyone just plants 10 trees, you're there.
Yeah,
So
I'm
it's-
thinking like more for the maintenance, like to get the environmental clubs.
Nobody shows up for maintenance. You need to get. Everyone wants to build something, whether it's a trail, a bridge, or plant a tree, but no one wants to maintain it. So
I
you should
think if
definitely
Greg went to
plan
a
to
high
have.
school, yeah, if Greg went to a high school and did a presentation or met a teacher at the Avon Grove High School and said, I don't know, like, and I would think an environmental club would be great for the maintenance, but I agree with you. I think it's hard to manage it for the planting.
I would agree. Let's try that, but for practical purposes, I would ask the board to fund a mowing twice a year for the first 5 years, and then once a year for 5 years after that. And that would take care of most of it. And then if you can, and then if you can get a club to come in and do the handwork or the mowing or whatever, that's a bonus. And we would just cancel the mowing that year. That would be, but just for practical reasons, budget for something. And this isn't a big planning. I don't think it would be a lot of money to mow this.
Yeah, and another thing we have working for us is, that these areas are already mowed. So they're not, it's not like we're clearing invasives for the first time and then putting trees in. So, the seed bank in the soil is probably a little lower than what you would get with like that Keene farm where they're wiping out all the invasives and then having to deal with whatever pops up right after that,
Yeah, that's true. One thing on your estimate, do you need to add in mowing the first time in the triangle area? That needs a good mow, especially around the woods edge, to eliminate that seed stock. And then even on the mowed section to the far right there on your Crossan Park eastern planting, that needs to be mowed around the woods edge. Obviously the grass is in great shape, but the woods edge needs to be cut back just to eliminate seed stock from invasives.
Okay. All right. So, what do you guys think? Any other points? Should I make a motion and we can see, take a vote on it, or where do we go from here, I guess?
I don't know if we officially need a motion, but I support you pursuing it.
So, and just to be clear, what Shane told me is basically we should get kind of a letter of support from the township. So obviously it would start with the pro board, but and then move to the supervisors, but get that letter of support, then apply for some grants and go from there. I guess I wasn't really sure, since there's so many different variables of how it could turn out with the grants, like if we ask for the supervisors a letter of support, I guess what are we asking for? Because if a grant doesn't work out, and then, if they want funding or,
So my suggestion is that you take, if the pro board agrees, then you take it to the Board of Supervisors in 2 weeks. And you tell them this same plan. You say, hey, I got these grant opportunities. We'll figure out which one to apply for. And then when you decide which one you're going to apply for, you have to go back to the supervisors and get a letter of support if that grant program requires it.
okay,
Like, it's usually just the ones that require matching or require some sort of maintenance plan. You'll need the supervisor support.
okay.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
'cause
I
if you
think we
ask,
should bring it to the supervisors anyway. I mean, I just think that's good that we work together to say this is what we're thinking about. I find it hard to believe that they won't support this, but
Well,
I
that's-
think it's.
that was my
Good
first
idea.
comment, Donna, is take it to the supervisors in 2 weeks, right? And
No,
tell him,
I'm agreeing, Paul.
yeah, all right. I don't know if you heard that part, yeah. And, but we don't need a commitment from the supervisors yet, because what are they committing to? We don't know if we need money from them, or we need, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
So-
kind of
so-
what I was trying to figure out. Like, what's the letter of support going to say?
Yeah, so the way I look at it, maybe we can have a disagreement over this, or maybe we'll have an agreement, that, the pro board is an extremely important board, and you provide advice to the board. And so even if you don't need a dime, it's just good to come back, and you come with your update, just come and say, this is what we're thinking about. We would like to propose moving forward with this idea. Does the board have any comments? And if the board, for example, if there was an idea that the board strongly opposed, then I would say that you wouldn't move forward with it. But I don't think that's the case in this incident. I mean, we should always be aligned.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. I mean, I try to operate that everything needs to be approved through you guys. So,
Yeah, so I'm in agreement with you. So I think it's good that you'll take it to the board.
So
Okay.
Donna, that wasn't the issue. The question at hand is, Greg was advised by Shane to get a letter of commitment from the Board of Supervisors. And my comment was, we don't know what that letter of commitment would say at this point. He needs to do some work and decide which grant he would apply for. So come to the board in 2 weeks, Board of Supervisors, and say, I'm going to look at these grants. Do you guys agree? And the board will say yes, hopefully. And then in a month, he'll come back, or 2 months or whatever, and say, I need a letter of commitment from you for this amount of money.
Right. And all I'm saying, Paul, is even if you didn't need any money, we could give you a letter of support saying that we support this particular initiative. So I don't know, Greg, is it a letter of commitment or a letter of support that Shane was asking for?
it's a letter of support, and maybe it's just you support it with the contingency of, depending on if you need funding, that
Right.
that kind of stuff. I think they just want to, know that everyone's on board with wanting
That
it.
you have the alignment, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So the only other issue would really be if we apply for the Dockstader Foundation. We only have until April 1st, which would be fine to get, present it to the supervisors, but is that enough time to get their approval, then actually apply and do everything that we need to do?
I guess I would work in parallel. Like I would, you can't assume, but I would continue to work on it. Like don't wait till you get the approval.
Right.
Continue
Okay.
to work on it. And if for some reason, which I don't anticipate, but if for some reason you didn't get the approval, then you pull it back. But
Right.
you can't
Yeah.
afford to lose the time.
Right. Okay.
It's
All
really
right.
up to you which grant you want to go for. I don't have any idea. Tree Vitalize worked for us. Maybe Brandywine Conservancy can advise you which one is more applicable. But didn't you say
Okay.
Dockstader was for spring of next year?
No, that would be Tree Vitalize.
Okay.
Dockstader would be, grants are announced in mid-May and distributed in mid-June. So that could be for a fall planting.
Yeah.
So Dock Stater and 10 million trees are both would work for a fall planting. Tree Vitalize would be a longer process. All right, well, unless anyone else has any other questions or points, I mean, did you say we do, or should I make a motion to recommend this to the Board of Supervisors?
Sure.
Okay,
Then it's official, right?
exactly. All right, so I make a motion to recommend to the Board of Supervisors that we explore the opportunity to do a roughly 600 tree planting between Crossan Park and Franklin Preserve.
I second that.
All right, seconded by Jennifer. Thank you. All in favor or any other discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. All right, great. Well, thank you guys. All right, so that's all the topics I had.
Just to let you know, the meeting video will probably be private for a couple days until I can blur out our little exhibitionist.
Okay,
So just so everyone understands.
gotcha.
Thank you, Jeff. Taking care.
Yeah,
Yep.
I had already forgot about it.
yeah, I don't want to see that ever again.
No, it's burned into my brain now.
All right, so does anyone else have any additional topics they'd like to discuss?
I was once again going to discuss the trail at Crossan, but I think it's too late at night, so we'll push it to next month. I have the maps ready, Greg. I made them up here, and I'll email them out so we can try to discuss it at the public meeting as the board wanted us to do. So I'm not sure how it'll work, but let's try it next month. I think it's too late tonight to start a new topic.
Hey, Greg, just so I have you, I keep forgetting to bring it up, and this is really quick. I was gonna do a write-up about volunteers. We had talked about that before. It came up back on my calendar. Can you just add that to the agenda for next month? And then maybe in
Yeah.
advance of that, I could catch up with you about some people you'd like to highlight and then work with whomever to get it in the newsletter.
So what do you, remind me again, what is
We
it
had
that-
talked about like maybe highlighting like the gentleman, I can't remember his name right now, who does the invasives. Maybe
Steve?
maybe talk about Velamio and what they've been doing at the park.
Okay,
and
just to kind of
maybe-
spread more information about
Yeah,
volunteers.
spread more information and maybe have it as part of the newsletter, if that's okay with Jeff.
And Jennifer, I think that is absolutely fabulous because that was one of my very first suggestions too.
Okay, yeah, and I just think it would encourage more people to volunteer, but also let people know like who is actually Velamio, like what are they doing, and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
And I
think
would
that
try to
would
keep
be,
it as, I was thinking if I could keep it as simple as just having a question and answer that I could email, like maybe Matt. They could answer the questions, I could write something up and then just have their final approval before we put it in the newsletter.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I
Okay.
think it's
also-
terrific.
I also did start just a spreadsheet of volunteer contacts. So if
I was going to ask you to do that. You're an angel.
yeah, so I can, I mean, I guess send that to everyone. I don't see why that'd be an issue.
So no, wait, send what? So I think you should have a list of volunteer contacts, but you should keep it pretty close to your vest because it's
Okay.
people's information, but we could all
Okay.
submit to it. You know, anybody who we know as a volunteer, we should submit to you, but I think just you or the township secretary should maintain a list of volunteers.
Okay.
And
We've
then
had that.
And then Paul, as Greg wants to say, like, could you reach out to these two people? Like, he could just tell me who he would like me to reach out to. Like, as we're
Yeah,
gonna
'cause
write something up.
when people give their information, they assume there's some bit of confidentiality there, or, you know, they're
Right.
not
Yeah, that's fair.
distributing the data. And what happens if you get a big list? We had this problem as township supervisors. We worked hard campaigning and gathering email addresses, but we had a gentleman's agreement between the supervisors. We would never use it for political purposes, and only the township manager would send out emails using the township list. But later supervisors were using it for political purposes, and it really angered me to see that happen. So we don't want our list to go the same way. We only would use it for volunteers, and we would keep it close to the vest where, like when you copy a large group, people looking for emails love to carbon copy everybody and then get all those email addresses and sell them,
Mm-hmm.
So it's sad, but it's something we have to keep close.
Okay, yeah, and especially with people getting hacked and stuff, like you don't know where the emails are coming from and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I
And
do
so
agree. Yeah, I do agree with Paul because I know that happens. And my dream is to have a list that would be even more specific to what people want to help with. Because there's
Mhm.
some people that can physically go out and help with trails and other people that can do other things like fundraising or whatever.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's a great point. You should have a column that says, what are their interests? Maybe it's the
Yeah.
gardening versus.
Right. Trail
tree
maintenance or
planting.
whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I kind of did that. I put a note section for each person.
Yep.
But
And
yeah,
then-
so go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, great. And then as part of that, I was also thinking we should probably do a write-up about the lady the Healing Gardens, like as we're
Yeah.
getting ready for that, we should probably have a write-up about her, and maybe they want to add something. But we should obviously have some say and present it to the pro, and then I guess, whatever, to make sure that it's okay before it goes in the newsletter.
Yeah. And I'm sure, I would assume they'd be okay with it, but yeah, I think we definitely should check with them just to make sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the office has final say because they're the ones making the newsletter, so.
Right. Gotcha.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
if anyone has any volunteers they want to add to this list, please send them over and I'll add them on there. I was gonna say something else. Oh, did we have a running list? I know we've talked about it for Eagle Scout projects.
I was keeping something somewhere, Greg, and I don't remember where it is, but
Okay.
it's basically Pearson did a tree planting with Shane Morgan last year or 2 years ago, and he would like an additional 100 trees planted. That would be a nice small scout project.
Okay.
But unless they buy the trees out front, they'd have to go through the same funding hoops that you would, and that usually deters the scouts.
Oh, okay.
But I think for 100 trees at $10 a piece, they might be able to raise that.
So I
$10.
did start a list for that as well. And I put tree planting on there.
$10 would get you the trees and tubes and stake and everything, right?
And you said Pearson is the name?
Yeah, Pearson.
Yeah.
And then
I know we mentioned the bench replacement in the tot lot, although we also kind of thought that could work for memorial bench project. Can anyone else think of anything else? I still would love to put one of those little free libraries in the garden. And possibly we mentioned a fence or an arbor for the garden.
as the entrance.
Right. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's a good one. I would like to see 3 signboards, one at each parking lot that has a map of the trails for the park.
Okay. Signboards for trail maps.
One at each parking lot. I guess that's 4. Well, no, the bulletin board on the bathrooms will work. So just 3 for the lower one.
Okay.
And Greg, we had talked about using the park map that Mary had created. We could put that on a sign blank. Something that will last and withstand the sun and the rain. And I think they were about $60 a piece if you wanted to go that route. That's
So-
putting the map on a sign blank, roughly 12 by 18. It might be a little larger, of the great map that Mary created with a
Oh, right.
QR code and all
I
that
think it
stuff.
needs to be bigger.
We can make it as big as you want. Just let me know what size you're thinking about. I can get another price.
Do you want me to make you are here maps?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so for the 3 parking lots?
Yes, but to get a price though, Mary, you don't need to do that yet. Like, let's just get a price with one map and then we'll figure out. You know.
Okay, sounds
But
good.
eventually, yes, we need you are here, but we have to decide where the bulletin board would be, like on the middle parking lot, it would be to the west. So the you are here is to the west of the road, because that's where the trail enters Franklin Preserve. The same in the middle the lower parking lot by the lower pavilion, that bulletin board would be where the Hunter's bulletin board is now, on the west side of the parking lot. See what I mean? How the you are here has to be specific.
Well, since we're going to be talking about it again, why don't we just determine the size? I'll get a price, and then we can
I'd like to see
decide
what
it.
you're talking about, Jeff. I can't imagine the map. You talking about like an aluminum sign blank, like for a road sign?
Yes,
And they can do a detailed map like that?
that's what they tell me.
Could you maybe send us an image, like a website or something? We could check it out. Because Greg and I were looking at the one in Peacedale Preserve that Natural Lands Trust does, and it's very nice quality. It's plastic, weatherproof stuff.
Well, again, you can choose anything you want. It's aluminum. It's got graffiti protection on it and protect
Yeah, could
against
you
the sun.
Could you send us an image of what it might look like with a map on a road sign? I can't really. Does it have the 3M reflective stuff on the back?
What it would be, Paul, is that sign, we can make that poster the size of the sign blank. So if you want it 12 by 18, whatever the size is, we can do. You could go as large as a speed limit sign if you wanted, but it might be too pixelated at that point.
I understand the sizing. I don't understand how they get the image onto the aluminum.
Well,
Because the
they
road
did
sign-
they did it for the Franklin Township sign out by Appleton Road. That's what that is.
Appleton Road. Oh, the one at your building. So I would
Yep.
have to go look at that. All right, I'll go check that out. Can they do multiple colors?
Yep.
Okay. What's the name of the company?
Now you're testing me at 9:30 at night. It's whoever we use for the signs, street signs. I can't remember now, Paul.
All right, maybe just send us a link when you are refreshed.
All right.
We gotta
Any
get Jeff
other-
home.
Good night, Gracie.
All right, anything else, or can we wrap her up?
Thanks, Jeff, for holding down the fort and
Yeah.
the equipment. It looks great.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Well, thank you